Hey everybody, I got a different episode today. I was going to do an interview, I had it all queued up, but I've spent probably the last 2 weeks talking to managers about this sales velocity equation that they keep coming back to me with, and I think it's part of the problem, not the solution. Why? Because it focuses everybody on activity versus results. And sales is a results-based profession. At the end of the quarter, nobody's going to care about your KPIs. The only one that's going to matter is revenue. Now, all of a sudden, then they back into, well, you got to have pipeline coverage. And I'm like, you got to have enough deals to crush your number. And if there's nothing left in the pipeline, well, that's an issue for next quarter, not this quarter. And some say, well, we like to have 3 times coverage or 10 times coverage. And I go, well, every deal that you put in there, you want somebody to maintain. Now, if that deal isn't either real or likely to close within the window of your visibility, whether that be a quarter, a year, or a lifetime, then it's just something for people to maintain. And they said, well, tell us a better way. And I go, I've done a lot of research in this, and everybody knows about the 80-20 rule, that 20% of the deals generate 80% of the revenue. Now, there's even different ways of looking. That rule also compounds, which means the power of focus is your lever when you're in sales. Now, this may vary if you have, small deal sizes and the deal sizes don't vary, but that's unusual. If you've been in business a long time, what you'll find is that just a handful of clients generate about 50% of the company's revenue. About a handful of activities generate about 50% of the results. We all know this. We all know that, start with the most important thing of the day. Why? Because not only do you need to get it done, and once you get it done, you'll feel better, but it'll also get the results that you want, that it's the number one thing for a reason. And if we don't do it immediately, we tend to procrastinate, and it slips until tomorrow. And then we got 2 things to do tomorrow, and so on. And then pretty soon we've got this enormous list of things, and we don't know what is most important. Now, there's something behind this. There's some science behind this. It's called Price's Law. And Price's Law says that the square root of the number of things will generate 50% of the results. And this sounds like a guess, but it's repeated itself in history. Athletes, income, artists, publications, the square root of the number of books out there will generate 50% of the revenue of money spent on books. Now, we can ignore this, because we are trained to think of everything being equal. All leads are equal, and that's why marketing gets upset when we don't follow up on all of them. But we know, we look at them, and we kind of get a sense of what's more important than others. What I'm trying to say today is work on that sense, that judgment of your focus. The judgment of what to work on and focusing on what you should work on. Those 2 skills are superpowers in the salespeople that I've been interviewing with, the leaders that I've been talking to. You get a lot of activity talk. I get that. And today, that's the mantra. The hustle and grind, the work hard. Now, my point is on what? Meaning spend some time to determine what to work hard on. Because if you're working hard on things that can't close, won't close, don't match, timing's not right, you're a year ahead of yourself or more, or the person's selling you versus you selling them, then you got to readjust. And it is this judgment, this focus that really separates out the A's from the B's, because they proactively think about it. Now, your manager will only do this at the end of the day, at the end of the month, the end of the quarter. Until then, what they want you to do is work 18 hours a day on treating everything as equal, coming up with these KPIs, because they read these formulas on LinkedIn and online about the high velocity sale. And all of a sudden, what do? You're burnt out. You are distracted by activity versus results. And trust me, I've never seen a rep get beat up because they got the results. It's always with a smile and a grin. Oh, you should up your call times. Now, this is what is messing a lot of people up because they get locked into this activity versus the results. But if you follow Price's law, if you look at the number of things and the results that they get, if you take the square root of the number of hours in your week, it comes down to about 6 to 7. Say you work, 49 hours a week. It's about 7 hours a week will justify 50% of the results. Now, what do you do during those 7 hours? And could you do them during other hours to keep increasing your top line? Because it is your top line results that will give you the activity. How do you read? How do you grade the opportunities that you see and determine how to spend your time? How to invest your time instead of just spending it? We all can just sit around hitting the send button all day, but are we really customizing it? Are we really connecting with people? Are we giving to them? Are we doing the things that are going to get the deal moving? Now, of course, everybody wants to be told exactly what to do, but that's judgment. And if you just are doing what somebody tells you to do, if it doesn't work, whose fault is it? Of course, it's theirs. But who's not going to get paid? Us. So we have to be independent thinkers. We have to spend our time judiciously, and we will get compensated based upon it. And I think too many reps just do what they're told, stay busy, and if they're busy, they feel comfortable. Now, eventually you'll get an embedded judgment skills. You'll get a sense of when you talk to people, how real they are, how likely they are to buy something. Are they a good use of your time? Or is it just an activity? And we're running into this today with the division of labor. One group of people gets compensated for getting a meeting. Now, we've had this forever with marketing because marketing was always compensated on number of leads, not the quality of the leads. So what they would get is the easiest way to get that number. It's logical. That's what they would do. That's how they get compensated. And they would make the equation look whatever it had to get that number. And they worked hard. It wasn't that they weren't doing a good job. It was just that they were given the wrong goal. And because they all thought that each of those leads was equal. But it's not. It's the square root of those leads will generate 50% of the opportunities. And so that means that the other 50% aren't worth much. And it's up to us to determine what that is. So look at your day, look at your week, look at your month and your quarter, and take the square root of those number of hours and say, what did I do to generate those results? What activities really mattered? What was a waste of time? There's reports out there today, and I did this thing with Nudge, that 20 to 30% of the time is spent on sales. Now, this is kind of fitting into Price's law. But what if you expanded that? What if you pushed down on the waste of time, on the activities, on the BS? What if you just made yourself busy when you were supposed to be doing something that somebody else wants? And this also is true in that, I'm getting a little complicated here, because since it's the square root of the number of reps that generate 50% of the revenue, that means that competence in a company grows linearly, not with the number of reps, but the incompetence grows exponentially. That means the bigger the company you are at, the more distraction there is from the real point. And trust me, I've been through this. I was at a tiny company. We got bought by this enormous company. And all of a sudden, the distractions were just, 10 to 100x. meetings and forms and enablement. It literally took a couple hours a day just to figure out how to do anything. From getting a business card to, booking an order was a process. They had people whose specialty was on how to book an order, a vanilla, perfect order, nothing out of the ordinary, just how to get things done. And you see this with the government and everything. Incompetence goes up exponentially. Competence grows up linearly. As salespeople, what do we have to do? Our time is our biggest asset. It's non-renewable. Once it's spent, it's gone. And we can only creep into our personal time so much. The most is probably 16 hours a day, and that doesn't even scale. Realistically, is what? 10, 12 hours a day maybe. And then even then we get burnt out. So what we have to do is prioritize. What is likely to close? How do you grade an opportunity? What do you look for that gives you the signal that this is a closable opportunity? What are the areas of risk? What are the weakest points? And if you document this, because what ends up happening is we get emotionally attached. We want every deal to close. We would love it to close, but nature tells us it's not going to close. History tells us not every deal is going to close, at least not in the time frame that we want. Work on the ones that will close, that will have the size and the opportunity. Look at your accounts. If you can get repeat business, larger deals, cross-sell and upsell, which are the ones that have that potential? This is really where sales becomes an intellectual exercise instead of just the hustle and grind. If you only have, small, tiny deals and a lot of them, and it's pretty cut and dry, this may not apply as well, but you'll find patterns. You'll find better uses of your time. I've interviewed door-to-door salespeople, and they would say that while we picked out these neighborhoods versus those neighborhoods for these reasons, we went at these times versus other times. And the way to do this is to really analyze it, to really look at it. And when you talk to somebody, what are the signals that tell you that they are likely to buy, either on an inbound or an outbound opportunity? What are the signals that they're wasting your time? That's even more important, because how many times do we fall in love with a false champion, somebody who either is pounding their chest or think they can get something done where they can't, or they just love making the vendor play fetch. We've all seen them. They tell us whatever we want to hear, and they always fall down. And what are those signals so that we can quickly just ignore them or just let them go and play with some other vendor? These are the judgment calls that we all have to make every day. And the power of focus and applying judgment is going to be a differentiator for you. I hope you enjoyed this. I think we need to get this mantra out there. I hate the mindless activity, the 10 times the pipeline. It just doesn't help. It keeps people busy. Everyone feels good because they're working hard, but you only get compensated on the deals you close. Start there and work backwards instead of thinking of that everybody is an opportunity. Everybody is not an opportunity. Who is most likely to buy? And work in that order. That way you'll spend your time on the things most likely to happen versus looking at everything as equal. Hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you check out b2brevenue.com. You can get on my calendar. We can talk about the courses. That's what the point is talk about the courses and which one you're interested in. Check them out. Solve the problems that you're facing, either getting into new accounts or closing the accounts that are most likely to close, and how to prevent the bad things from happening. Invest a year in getting your game to the next level. Hear what other people are doing. Come up with a structure and a strategy that works for you so that it becomes second nature, so that you don't have to be spending half your day on judgment. You can be spending it on deals that are likely to close. Also, check out the show notes for all the partners. Check out Nudge, who's enabling us to put all this data into the CRM. Pipedrive with the Brutal Truth coupon code. Try that for 2 months for free. See if it fits. Check out Gong's blog and Co-Video's product for connecting with people through video email. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Oh, are you checking out Sales Questions? Brutally honest answers. You can submit your question via LinkedIn or my email address, which is in the show notes. And I will answer the question as promptly as possible. I cover 7 questions a week, 1 a day. It drops at 7:30 every morning. And check that out. If you're a manager or you'd like to become a manager, check out the B2B Revenue Leadership Show, where I talk to leaders in both marketing and sales about how to hypergrowth your company in a way that works. Also, follow me on LinkedIn. I got videos coming out pretty much daily there. And the YouTube channel, Brian Burns Sales on YouTube. We'll see you next time.